given that I do this podcast, I think about all the questions that I ask other people. I'm thinking about it all the time. Actually, every 100 episodes, I have myself be interviewed, so that, you know, it takes about 2 years to do 100 episodes because there's 52 weeks in a year. And so, yeah, it's interesting to go back because, I mean, I'm about to hit 300. It's interesting to...
Congrats on that, bro. For real. That's a feat.
To find kind of where I've gone since then. And so, yeah, I think one of the hardest things, probably for any human being, but I think even just myself, is that, like, I just want to make sure that I was understood and that people know that I cared. That's like my biggest priorities in life. It's just like, so
now cared about like your craft or like
that I care about everything. Yeah. Okay. I actually forgot to end the last one with this, but like, I always end it with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong. And though that like trifecta of things are always kind of like pushing on each other. And, but like, I haven't been able to, I mean, I've been doing this podcast for almost 6 years now, and I've had those 3 things like since even before then. And I'm still like finding ways to like disprove one or the other, you know,
but it's like a perfect triangle effect. Like it keeps you like it's like kind of like a philosophy of yours.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and by sort of like repeating them to myself all the time, it's like, all right, how am I, you know, putting love into this decision? How am I putting acceptance into this decision? How am I, you know, keeping myself humble in this decision? And all of these things, they shape me, and, you know, hopefully that philosophy expands to anyone else who listens to this. But like, yeah, love is my biggest priority. And like, to me, love is the meaning of life. I can't tell you that I know what the meaning of life is, but
love is at the epicenter.
Yeah, love is the meaning of life. And that's not to say that like love is like, you know, always just like being soft and caring and blah, blah. Like, no, sometimes you have to love someone by like telling them what's up. And sometimes it's going to hurt. Yeah. But like, you know, you're loving them by showing them like, hey, this is something that you're doing that might be hurting others. This is something that you're doing that's hurting me. Yeah. And so like, you know, love, you're not
being a yes man. Like you're looking out for your person. I mean, yeah.
Love isn't all hugs and kisses. Love also means like making sure that you're helping the people that you care about grow and become the better parts of themselves.
I got you. Now, you mind if I ask? So off of that, man, like, so whenever you say love can be, you know, everybody has their own interpretation. Sure. So by the time you leave, like, is love, like, will it translate to how many people have you been able to inspire? Like, is that encompassing your love? Is that a different, where would you place that in that sense? Or how many people's lives have you changed or moved or?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that it's more about, have I inspired them to improve the world around them as well.
Okay.
Right.
I got you.
And so, yeah, like it's one thing to yourself just do something good for someone else. It's like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Like, hey, like I'm here for you. You know, that's one person. But it's another thing to put something out there, and lots of people can look at that, and then each individual themselves that listens to that or watches that then goes like, oh, how can I take this thing that I now learned and put that out into the world? And so we're exponentially improving the world by
Inception.
Yeah.
Inception right there, man.
By putting more good into the world and showing other people that like how to do good things, how to improve each other, how to improve themselves. You know, that is, you know, sure, it is a form of love that I'm putting out there so that, you know, I'm putting myself in to other people, but also that, like, you know, I ask those questions because not so much because I expect anyone to have answers, because not everyone does have the answers, and you don't have to listen to anything anyone says anyway. So like, but like after, I mean, this right now is episode 293.
Nice. Very
so
nice. So
after,
bro.
You know, let's say cut that in half for like the number of people that I've had on. That many people I've had on, I've gotten that many different perspectives. I'm sort of in the same way of like, you know, you mentioned like evolution, and that's sort of my third thing. I might be wrong. That's what that is hinging on. It is that like the more perspectives I get, the more I can sort of chip away at like the wrongness.
But like that shows though, they said that's like a true sign of genius though, is like the more that you learn, the more you realize you don't know anything. Like it's because there's something that are absolute facts, there are absolute truths in the universe, and perceived truths is what I call them. You know, we can look at the same picture and see two different things. Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean you're right, doesn't mean I'm wrong, doesn't mean you're wrong. But it's definitely the perception that comes out on it. But that's absolutely interesting, man. Like because I definitely have a philosophical mindset in life. Like, and one thing that I was just questioning the other day was, is philosophy answering life's questions, or is philosophy asking questions that make you question life? Like, because like, there are people out there that are like, okay, this person said this, well, let me look for the truth in this. There may not, there's a perceived truth. There was their perceived truth, but what they did was question your reality to the point where you started asking more questions based off of that. So in that way, like influencing people, and and I feel like anytime you come from a place of like genuine love and like, hey, a helpful place, like, hey, I'm not trying to get anything out of this. If you're meant to, like, if I believe one of those, if I was meant to meet you in life, there's a reason I was supposed to meet you. Like if I wasn't supposed to meet you, we would never meet, and it's one of those that you never know who you are touching. You never know who's watching. You never know that what you said, you just like, they listened to one of your podcasts and like they could have been going through a rough spot and they were just struggling with something. You never know who you can be helping to help on their path. So absolutely, bro. It's all about putting the best and lovingest intentions out there for people, because the world can definitely use more of it.
Yeah. Well, something you said about like, is philosophy answering questions, or is it just, leading you to ask more questions? Even the word philosophy is philosoph. Philo means love of thinking or questioning. This is future me chiming in to say it means love of wisdom, not necessarily knowledge. And so like
that's perfect.
Yeah. And so philosophy is notice that it doesn't have a study of, a lot of fields have study of this. Biology, philosophy. That OG has like study of this. Philosophy isn't a study of, it is a love of thinking.
That's dope.
And so
even that is its own way of thinking. Just thinking about that, man, that's a whole rabbit hole.
But like, yes, there are some answers to things in philosophy, but it's more so just like ways by which you can think. And so like you can look at different philosophical approaches to the same issues, right? And so it's like, oh, what would Thomas Aquinas say about this versus what would Socrates say about this versus like, everyone has their own philosophical perspective. And that's one reason why, I mean, I didn't major in philosophy or anything. Like I
didn't either. Philosophy came a love later in life when I started just questioning more. Exactly. Like, like it was one of those subjects like, oh, philosophy, what is that? Like when I was younger, like the more I got, I'm like, this is honestly a very intriguing. This is life. Philosophy is life.
Yeah. And so I'm a philosophy hobbyist, I guess you could call it that.
I like that.
And so I'm not the best academic. I can't tell you every philosopher's name or what they said or whatever, but like, I pick up on the ideas. Absolutely. And I'm always trying to, find different ways that I can think about things.
Absolutely. And it's kind of cool that you say that, is that because, going back to what we were saying about music, and like, you know, you might have a different philosophical way of like looking at something, but you still come up with your own mindset. Going back to, I take inspirations from these people, and we could both sit here and take inspiration from the same exact, you know, artist, and we're still going to come up with two different musics because we perceive it differently. So it's cool universally how everything is everything. Shout out everything.
Shout out to everything. and that's something that like, what makes music so powerful is that everyone can interpret, and that's something that makes art so powerful, not just music, but like we can all take something out of it that, you know, makes more sense to us, or this one specific thing is what really stuck out to me, and that's why I love this thing.
It can be like a 2-3 note progression, and like, oh my gosh, it could have been the most inspiring. That makes you go down a whole different path of what can be out there. You know, it's crazy where you can truly get inspiration from, bro.
Yeah, man. And the better we get at music, the better we can communicate these ideas. I always refer to music as just like it's a form of communication. Right? And so we're telling stories, or we're telling emotions. I forget who said the quote, but it's like, words make you think thoughts, music makes you feel feelings, songs make you feel thoughts. Because it has music and words at the same time. Exactly. And so the perfect combination of words and music and using them skillfully, it can hit you in such a specific way that it's like, man, I didn't know that I could feel this.
Like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm feeling. Like, because No Reptiles, everything is the first song I have legitimately like shed a tear to. I'm like, I don't know what about this song is invoking these feelings. I'm like, it's sad, but it's something different. Like, it's an emotion you can't even necessarily put your finger on, but something about this is gravitate, and that's incredible. Like, that's every songwriter's dream, is to have music that literally just pierces through somebody's, you know, heart, and like, God, yeah.
And so what you were saying about like, you know, not necessarily good or bad music, but there's, you know, different things in it that might be better made, and so I don't believe in talent, because skill is what we're doing. So some people might be like born with, you know, an affinity for something,
or
right?
Like you're taller, so you're going to be better adept at, you know, sports. Like, you may have advantages in said niche, but skill is repetition, right?
Yeah. And so, and at the same time, you know, you can be freaking 7 feet tall, but like, if you're clumsy as hell, there's no point in you playing basketball.
A little 5'7" guy can get drafted, and you can. Like, exactly. That doesn't matter. It's the skill that you put behind it.
Yeah. And so the time that you spend sort of perfecting a skill, making music is also a skill. And so, some people might be, you know, more gifted singers or whatever. They're born with a better sound right out the gate, but you know, anyone can learn how to sing. Anyone can learn to play an instrument.
I think anyone can learn anything, honestly. Like, if you want to learn it, you can learn it. It's do you want to learn it? Do you want to take the time to do it? But I absolutely, like, anybody has the capability of learning any skill. It just takes the hours and the reps.
Yeah. And you might be, you know, kind of the talent idea. Sure. You might be more, in tune with, you know, learning things better, or you might have a harder time with it. But like, if you know how you learn, and just finding like
reverse engineer it to anything that you need to do. Yeah.
And that's something about like school, for example. The structure of school is that it's not made so that people can learn. It's sort of like, here's information that you have to know, and we're going to apply this knowledge in this specific way, which is testing. And like, you know, testing on a page, and you do, like, if you pick the right answer, you are showing us that you've learned this. I guess.
And I've never like I was never like a straight A. Like, my thing is like, I was very ADD as a kid, but like, okay, I know this. Why do I have to keep showing it? I think it was more of a defiant level, you know, but I really feel like everybody has a genius aptitude in something. Something. And I think that's what your calling is, whatever you're supposed to be pursuing, your best you in life. that's your genius aptitude, because that's always been the little calling in the back of your head. You already have an internal, compass on what you want to, in a sense, what you want to do with it. But it's always just, taking that first, it's always the first step. 90% is just showing up. People don't realize 90% is just showing up and starting it. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have everything, but just know that, hey, you're doing this. I'm more likely going to succeed and accelerate 10 times quicker than someone that's just doing music for, the notoriety or whatever doing it. I'm going to, not only because it's my calling, but I actually implemented the time and skill into it. I have a genius aptitude, and specific things over here, where somebody over here is an engineer that can build a whole software. I'm like, what is this? This is Gaelic over here that you're right. I can't read this. Like, what is this script? They've already had that analytical, brain and everything. They just found the specific thing that they can accelerate in. Now they're writing scripts for, Fortune, 500 companies and all these different things, just doing what they already naturally love to do. So for sure.
Yeah. And then the hard part is, are you willing to put in the time and money to to make it happen? And the hard part as well is that, like, there are systemic issues, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so I am not as good at piano as I could be. One reason is that my family did not grow up wealthy enough for me to have piano lessons growing up. Yeah. And that's just a fact. And so I, have to live with that fact and practice piano myself, but I also know that it'll take more time and effort, or, finding a good teacher and paying for it to accelerate that skill. Exactly. If I want
you chose to, if that's I want to be the world's greatest pianist, mm-hmm. then yes, you need to actually sit there and take the time to technically, proficiently learn this specific skill. Yeah. Absolutely.
I also don't want to.
I don't want to. I'm good. I can, decent on guitar. I'm decent. But it's nothing that I want to spend that time that I would specifically on my music career into that one instrument. Exactly. It's I know I have the capability of doing it. I just don't have the want, essentially, to do it. And that's fine. Being aware that I don't want to do it is just as well as being aware of something you want to do. Yeah. Not just oh, I know I can play guitar, and not letting it nod the back of your head. Mm-hmm. You're passing through. I'm cool. If I have time to pick it up, cool. I'll play every now and again just to keep my skills up. And I can sit there and like I said, I play, there might be one or two loops and beats that I've been making, but usually I'm just playing chords, and I'm playing every instrument myself, but I'm just playing it on the keys. So there just comes to that point, I just don't care about it and that's fair. You got to be, it's truthful.
And there's different ways around it. So I mean, you can look at this thing. I'm mm-hmm. motioning to my Launchpad Pro, which is a 16 by 16 grid. Yeah. That is it 16? 8 by 8 grid. Sorry. And it is a different way of looking at music. You can use this thing the same way that the keyboard is laid out. Really? But it is just a different way of looking at it. And so you could be the greatest pianist in the world, right? Yeah. But if someone hands you this thing, you're no longer
the greatest pianist in the world.
And so, but it's a separate skill, and skills that you have will still translate. Even if you are the greatest pianist in the world, you might play some things on it and be like, oh, I see what this is. Oh, I see where the notes are. I see how this is laid out.
So this is kind of like this. Yeah. Going back to, my buddy teaching me how to mix in Logic, I can translate it to another, application just because I have the foundation of how to do things, and then reverse engineer back up to learn that specifically. But yeah, same thing, man. Just having the skill to mix, I can translate that over to any application. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this thing, I don't remember who it was because I don't remember anyone's names, but that there's this guy who got really good, not just at a specific skill, but he got good at the skill of mastering things, not audio mastering, but mastering skills. And so you can get good at learning things.
I'm going to look into that now, man. You just what? So he reverse engineered down this to being able to master skill where he applied it to any skill to master.
Yeah. And so we can all master anything, but we can also all get good at learning. And if you know how you learn things best, then you can sort of, use that as a catalyst for learning anything else.
That's ingenious, bro.
Yeah. And so the thing about, if you want to, for example, piano again, just because I'm thinking about it, I did go to music school. I have a master's degree in music composition, and I had to take piano lessons, and I could have taken more piano lessons than was required.
Yes.
But by the end of like my required piano lessons, I told this to my teacher and told it to myself as well, is that I'm glad that I took these lessons. I could keep going and just keep getting better at specifically piano.
Yeah.
But through these lessons, I have learned how I learn piano.
Oh, okay.
And so the methods that I was using to learn specific pieces on piano, I learned the process that I use to like get good at.
So you were able to like reverse engineer your learning process on how do you become aware of something like that? So no, for like how do you become aware of how you learn? Like how did you, what's best for you? Because I feel like, things I do really are, there's some things that are conscious, but sometimes it's subconscious. I'm like, oh, okay, X, Y, and Z. But there are times that I get stumped, just trying to play something new, play a different chord, X, Y, and Z. How did you, or are you able to even think how you were able to figure out how you learn best?
Yeah, I mean, some of that is just like mindfulness. Just the literal practice of mindfulness, if you want to get that specific with it. But like the just mindfulness, just as you're in something.
Yes.
Sort of taking a step back and thinking like, what am I feeling? What am I doing? And how am I approaching this? It's, we can easily get lost in the process of doing a thing, which is a great thing as well. We don't always have to be zooming out because the flow state is an amazing and healing state to be in.
Yes.
But also being aware that like, as you are in it, you can sort of like zoom out and
like
look,
an outer body experience, like watching myself doing
what
this.
am I doing here? What am I using, or what am I going to automatically? And it's, as I was learning piano pieces specifically, it was like, all right, I tend to learn the left hand first. That's kind of because I'm left-handed. And so it becomes easier to me. And then I'll learn the right hand, but it's actually better for me if I do learn right from the get-go, both hands together. And so it's like, all right, start doing that. If it starts being too difficult, that it gets frustrating, then, you can go independently one hand at a time. And so it's like being aware of myself that like, oh, sometimes even I'm practicing at like, less than half time tempo. And I'm like, this is really frustrating. Why can't I get it? All right. Well, knowing that I get frustrated at it, like my frustration is not going to help me get better at this thing. No, it's not. So I'm going to try the pieces that make me feel better, that, okay, cool. I am building on something. All right. Now that this little part is a bit better and this little part is a bit better, let's try it together. And now that I'm a bit less frustrated, I can like, so being aware of oneself.
So it's the fluidity though. It's going back and forth between that. And it's cool that you actually say that, because when I was learning Kung Fu, my Sifu, he taught me everything on my right side. So I'm a lefty, left side dominant southpaw. So he never taught me any of my forms, any of my, circles, nothing like that on my left side. He only trained me on my right hand side. And he said, because just because you're already using your non-dominant side, your dominant side is already going to know how to do it. So even when I'm training my girl, I train her on her left side first because she's right-handed. So, but it comes to a point where like, even like when I'm playing keys and I realized it, I'll start playing with my right hand first. And I feel like I'm more proficient with my right hand because like my left, like, oh my God, okay, I feel like I should be able to use my left hand better, but yada, yada, yada. But it always goes back. It's funny that you say that. I never really made that realization that I'm using my right hand side first because I'm so used to using my non-dominant. I can get fluid in that. Then I can bring in my left hand and start playing different chords. But I always have to start with my right hand first, or I can't figure it out. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this is something I've been talking to my brother about a whole lot, but so thinking of schools of philosophy and ways of analysis is metamodernism is a newer way of, I guess, critical thinking. We had traditionalism, then modernism, then post-modernism, and now I have metamodernism. It's crazy. So
everything has generation, right?
Right, yeah, and it is kind of generational.
That's really cool.
In that traditionalism, you know, hey, this is what we all understand. We're just going to follow that, and that is what works. And there's no need to question the system because it is working for the people that it needs to work for. And then modernism is like, hey, we have technology and things are changing. And, you know, some of these structures, regardless of whether or not we want them to change, we're noticing that because things are updating, we sort of have to move towards these things. And that's kind of what modernism did, is that like, yeah, we have these traditions, but they're going to have to change because
it's forcing you to. Yeah. You don't have a choice at this point in this
because now we have technology, now industrialism, we have all these things. Postmodernism was sort of like, hey, look at the way that things are and are changing and stuff, and it's not working for everyone. Postmodernism is really critical about just being like, this isn't working. I don't.
Everything kind of came out on that.
I don't like this. Why isn't this working? And this is why it's not working. And so it's a lot of pointing out all of the flaws in the system.
So exposing it. Yeah.
Metamodernism is basically acknowledging the bigger systemic things and finding meta analyses by which we can find solutions. This is a really difficult way of explaining it, but
I'm following. I'm tracking.
In that it acknowledges itself. Postmodernism is sort of like from within the system, finding ways to critique the system. Metamodernism is sort of zooming out from the system and analyzing the system as a whole. And what that does is that rather than just existing within a system and critiquing it, metamodernism goes, what is the system? How does it work? Rather than just being like, these things don't work.
Like, this sucks, whatever.
Yeah.
And toss it out.
Instead, what is the system and what is happening here? And so there's all this broad train of thought to go back to, like, when you are, you know, working on something and it's frustrating or something, and instead of just going like, this sucks, you can point out what sucks in the thing. But then if you zoom out even more, you go, why does this suck? What about this thing is making it suck?
So it's kind of like convergent and divergent thinking, though. So I've really been honestly, with my songwriting abilities, I've been like, I really want to get, I'm tired of essentially writing about myself. I just want to tell stories at this point. I just want to tell stories from a different perspective. So convergent thought is we've come up with the idea. We made a decision on something and we're doing this idea. Divergent thinking is the process of actually brainstorming. So what we tend to do, like the childhood wonderment of creativity. And as we, life goes through, like we lose that, like, okay, we're usually, convergent and divergently thinking at the same time, where the first thought that comes to our mind, that's the decision that we made. But we didn't give ourselves time to sit here and actually come up with, so like one question, the song that I'm working on right now, it's pretty much, I'm talking about Julius Caesar. And, on one side of the token, I doing, convergent and divergent thinking, one side of the token, talks about like, yeah, this man, he's a great conqueror, blah, blah, blah. People loved him. People adored him. But at the same time, he was a foolish man because he didn't see what was going on behind his back. He was so into his, his own, ego and his own spotlight that he was blinded to people plotting behind him. So yeah, he was this awesome conqueror, out of all Roman, Roman emperors, he's the most well-known one. At the same time, look at the ways that he somebody died, but people don't typically go past, oh, he died because, he was, stabbed, he was stabbed and he was murdered, in the courts. But I'm like, okay, so was there anything foreshadowing, him being killed? Did they kill him out of envy? Did they kill him because they foresaw something that would have happened? What were the reasons behind it? But, most people are quick to come up with an idea and then choose that decision without even giving themselves. You could have had 20, 30, 40 more ideas that could have, evolved from that. So with divergent thinking is the biggest thing is delaying any prejudice, delaying any response or any feelings towards an idea. Every single idea, good or bad, every single idea gets the same opportunity. So just write it down and keep going. Just even some, oh my God, this is the greatest idea, whatever. You can't even have that thought on the opposite spectrum because you're now shutting yourself off to the possibility that even better ideas could have came. So what I'll do now is sit there and set a timer 1-2 minutes and I'll just like, okay, come up with the topic. And that's one way I'm actually starting to reverse engineer. I'm starting to find my fan base. So I'm like, okay, people who are gravitated towards me, why are they gravitating towards me? Okay, before I can even answer that question, even before I can answer how do I get, my streams up this, why, I need to answer the question, who am I? Because once I find the commonalities in all of these, but I can't sit here and be like, okay, I'm a trans rapper. Cool. How many of those are out there? What about this is sticking out? What about this is different than what anybody else has come up with, And there was a TED talk that I was watching. And one powerful thing this person said was, we don't believe that we deserve to be the creators of an original idea. That if we think of something cool that we automatically assume, well, somebody thought of it, or, if it was good enough, somebody would have already done it, not realizing that we have the capability of having those original thoughts, but we're so quick to close down, and even in a quote unquote bad idea, take 10 seconds back. Either you like it, after 10 seconds, you really thought about it, or you don't like it, or there might be one good thing you can take out of that, throw away what you don't need. And that can start its own whole thought process on it. But convergent and divergent, they said it's like inhaling and exhaling at the same time. You cannot do them both at the same time. So if you want to sit brainstorm, you cannot make a decision on an idea and come up with ideas at the same time. So kind of like it definitely helps you expand and takes that outer body experience, because at a certain point, just no judgment, delay all judgment, delay any judgment you have in yourself. Like, this can be the goofiest idea, but wait a minute, this could have been something cool. And then now you've started something you never thought you can come up with,
Yeah. And the process of creation is you have to be inside it, and you can't just meta analyze everything.
Exactly.
You're not
and
going
I used to do that. Over analyze.
Yeah. Because then you're not making. And the other interesting part is that whenever you for example, let's go back to that Caesar story, is that you can look at it just as the story itself, and you can just write your own way of telling that story. That's the first step in there. Then you can zoom out and be like, what led to this thing happening, and sort of figuring out what parts of the story are important that create the story.
Exactly.
And then you can go even more and go, what is this story saying? What is the point of this thing? Is it, your hubris will lead to your downfall? Is it your ambition will make other people envious? Whatever, way you can.
Even after death, you're immortalized, things like that. I'm immortal. He's immortal. He's an immortal. In 2022, we were still talking about Julius Caesar.
Right,
he is an immortal being at that point,
But whichever one of those you decide to make the overarching theme, that will trickle down into the smaller points of it to be like, okay, how can I, in this line that I'm writing, how can I have that contribute to the idea of, whether or not it is your hubris will lead to your downfall, you can say something about that, or this line will contribute to the idea that, even in death, he's still immortalized.
Absolutely. And it talks a little bit on all those talking points, even perspective of others, and not even just him. In one profound thought I had with it was, where did it happen? Of course, in the courts, in a noble place. And it was I also said in the people in the presence of the people he trusted the most, and also in the presence of the people who hated him the most. So like it's just different perspectives. I'm like, this is kind of all the same scene, but it's just seeing it from a different angle that I would have never come up with if I didn't just sit down and just let my mind wander on anything I can kind of think about. In that, it can be vague or specific, or wow, this kind of tied it in a different way. Answering this question in a completely different way.
Yeah. Have you heard of Sleep No More?
I have not.
So I think it's a like interpretation of a Shakespeare play, or if it is a Shakespeare play, but it was this, I guess, theater experience. Theater happens on stage, right? Yes. So like everyone is in the audience, and then we all watch it, and everything that we see is on purpose, and like, yeah. Yes. Sleep No More was basically like in a building, and all of the actors were doing their scenes as characters, and then so like two characters have an argument, and one actor goes into another room and storms off, and maybe they might have like a soliloquy in there as their and so you as a member of the audience would be able to follow individual characters
and follow their storyline.
Embedded story. And I think they run through it like twice or three times or something. And so on the second run, you can decide to follow this character and see where they went. And so
that's pretty dope.
What you said about like, all the different perspectives of, this story is that you can look at every single story from every single different perspective.
Exactly.
And decide, I guess, who you want to follow from that. And and that's something that, even if you are telling a story that has been told lots and lots of times, you can look at Julius Caesar's story. You could tell the story from his point of view. You could tell the story from Brutus's point of view. And that might tell you something radically different. And so the big overarching theme that you might get might be really different if you're looking at it from Brutus's point of view. Then it's not your hubris will lead to your downfall. Maybe it's I have to do my duty for the state, even though it means betraying my best friend.
Exactly. Like, and that's what I'm saying. My thing is like, I just want to be able to find those talking points and like really find a story like where, again, you always want to have elements of what people are familiar with to engage them in that sense. But also you have to keep their engagement. You have to be able to portray a story in a different light for someone. I'm like, because like when people are like, okay, writing a song about like, okay, how is this going to go? Whatever, I could even like in a sense, in a whole different way, I could write a story. I'm Julius Caesar and I'm as big as, but I can do a big triumphant Kanye West power type song and I'm the king, blah, 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 blah. Nah, that's goofy. I mean, it's not goofy, but that's an idea. But it's one of those like, I feel like that story's been told so many times though, like on different ways, like you said, your hubris and, there's just, arrogance and know that I'm God and all this, there's enough music out there like that. It's one of those shows like, yes, there are elements of like, yeah, I know I'm a conqueror of the world, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it also asks, can one man really truly rule the world? Like, is there a reason that a prophecy happened? Why was he killed at this time? Was he on the way to conquering the entire world? Did this stop? There's just so many ways you could, but like if you make up, I would have never came to these ideas if I stopped at the first one or two ideas that I came up with the storyline, because like how it's engaging a conversation right now. Cool. Now we're even asking even different questions, more perspectives. Cool. Now, and that convergent part, now I just want to pull the best ideas, the ones that I think are the best. And now I'm writing a song about it. So for sure.
And then there's an even more zoomed out perspective, which is you're making music.
Yes.
You're not making a film.
Exactly.
You're not making a painting.
You're not putting on a play. Exactly.
Yeah. And so what is it about music specifically that makes the way that I'm telling this story different?
Because I feel like music, it has dynamics. Like, the one thing, and I love it, I feel like every musician is an alchemist. We are literally bending frequencies to make somebody feel a certain, like, casting a spell essentially on you. So
we're airbenders.
Airbender. I'm literally an airbender, bro. Going back to the artist, right? No, but you're literally bending this just from the notes that you hit, just from how I composed the beat. And when I made the beat, honestly, this was like first came the beat. Like I was just making noises that I loved. I'm like, okay, what topic? I want to write about this. Cool. And it kind of just combined and it works. But you have dynamics. Like even, there's parts that I'm going to be singing it where I have to portray myself as this character because I have to have this arrogance, this pompousness about me. This is how, if I was Caesar, how I'm going to come off on it. Like, I'm going to wave by you as I go like, hey, whatever. I'm not really going to make eye contact. It's me, I'm king, that's not how I feel about it. No, absolutely not. Like I can see the flaws in his thought process clearly. But you have to be able to put yourself in those shoes. So it comes with acting though. Music, because I literally act out how I'm singing on a track to be able to evoke the emotion that I want to have recorded, if that makes sense. Like it's so much that people don't realize how much of a thread you have to go back just to be able to build it up to what you hear. Like there's thoughts that unravel. So how I'm going to come across, even like bridges and dynamics, I think you're really going to enjoy it, bro. I really think you're going to like it. I'm collabing with a buddy from the UK on that song too. So he's a very powerful vocalist. I'm like, just to get some, cool extra musical elements to it. But it's going to be saying in the perception of that character. Yeah. So you're still taking on roles in a sense. You're acting, but now it's just with vocals and tunes,
And so whenever you look at it from this zoomed out perspective, you can also go like, all right, what is something that music can do that other mediums can't? And so obviously there is a Shakespeare play. We keep going back to Shakespeare. There's a Shakespeare play called Julius Caesar, but we don't have music for it. What would that sound like? And what would that sound like in, coming through you as an artist, like making this, you're making it way different than anyone else would.
Absolutely. But you can still see where the idea came from, the origin. You can always see like the inception of the idea, but exactly like the Big Bang, like there's so many things spawned out of nothingness or like one thing created it all. And it goes back showing everything is everything, it always ties back to everything. But yeah, that's what's exciting. And that's like, when I say like, I want to start pushing the boundaries as a musician, going back to what I was talking about, like, this isn't like, you really don't hear music written like this, and these, point of views. And again, I'm not making anything that sounds normal, but it's still like that. I'm going out of a realm of it's never existed, which is good. But at the same time, how does it go over? But at the same time, it doesn't matter because it's my truth. It goes back to, those questions that you have as an artist every time as you drop a song. But, I had the same, stressor when I dropped Habsburg Lip. I'm like, I love this and it's so awesome, X, Y, and Z, but is it going to be received? I'm like, I'm being truthful to what I'm doing. I always ask myself that. I'm like, is it going to be well received? I'm like, it doesn't matter because it's my truth. And how I hear this is how I want to do it. And I got a number one, I've got a number one placement on a chart, an alternative chart. I got that through that song, so clearly it worked out for me. It's still doing well. Like people absolutely love that song. But at the same time, it's always nerve-wracking especially when I'm like, I'm trying something different for the first time. How is it going to be received? But I think that's every artist in a sense. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's we're making something where we're telling stories and the way that our different skills as individuals might play into that is what, makes every single thing unique. And leaning into those things that make you unique. And it's like, oh, I have this sound. I know I'm good at this sound. I'm going to lean into this rather than like try and, recreate something. Because, your cover of Habsburg Lip is distinctly you rather than just like, if you wanted to just make the same song.
Literally, I can just copy and paste what I'm, they're doing. What's the point of that? Exactly.
And so that's like sort of the point of doing covers, I think, at this point. Anyone who does a cover that sounds exactly like the original, it's like wasting time, I guess.
Exactly. I don't get it. I think it's harder to try to sound like someone than just doing my own. Like, because I have a few covers that I've been sitting on, and I just, kind of had that breakthrough. Is like, I'm not. It's not coming out how I want it to sound. It's not sounding in my head. And every time I realize it's because I'm trying to sound like the artist singing it, as opposed to just letting whatever comes out of me naturally take over. I'm always trying to think that it has to sound. So again, it's definitely those things. So absolutely. Most people are just like, I'm not impressed. Like, I would rather hear some crazy obscure freaking, distinct different house deep techno Ukrainian, EDM beat that's an original than someone just, doing the same cover of, a Whitney Houston song and doing all the same stuff. Like, we've heard it done before. We've already heard this before. What's so different about this,
Yeah. This makes me just think about, like, I think the big genre of the future, I mean, like, we have sort of the rises and falls of different genres over the years. And I mean, trap has had its heyday, and I think it's starting to wane because everyone
is over. It's not a timeless sound.
I think hyperpop is the next wave.
Absolutely. Art pop, hyperpop. Yes, I do, dude. Yes, the heavy synths, because there was ethereal sounds and noises, it's higher frequencies. So people are gravitating. 80s, I think 80s is the greatest genre of music, honestly. How they musically did it. Even, you can hear the difference between early 80s to late 80s music, but it's all, I think it's universal. 80s is my absolute favorite genre. I don't know, there's like one genre, but 80s era, I would say era, my favorite era of music, because they didn't have those, they were able to just be free. They were, I feel, more creative, where, talent trumped, popularity. Like, you had to be good at what you did, because you had, not only just, great songs that are dropping, you have, artists, think about your great 80s artists, you have Whitney Houston, you have New Edition, Phil Collins, Sting, you have all these mega, the Police, Genesis, like, these mega superstars that are still relevant today, that are still making money. Billy Joel, like, the best singers, the best, collective groups, the best, they came from that era of music. And I really feel like that's where the evolution of, like, everything kind of up to this day, it really started with 80s music.
Well, one, I think it's technology that, people didn't have synthesizers and, like, the kinds of sounds that were coming out of the 80s were, like, groundbreaking because nobody had heard that before.
Exactly.
We were finally able to get synthesis in a, easily accessible package. Synthesizers existed all the way in, like, the 1930s or 40s, like that.
Internet's been around since, like, before Vietnam. Like, it was just for the military. Like, this, like, like, technology's been around for a while. It's not accessible, like you said.
Yeah, and synthesizers used to just, like, take up just the entire room, like, in just wall space. But by the 80s, it was like, hey, look, you can buy, like, Yamaha makes this, or, like, whatever company is like, yeah, you can get this nice cool synth, and people were making new sounds. And then it's coming back, or it has come back. I mean, The Weeknd's most recent album is just like an 80s
and that's what
record.
I hear 80s. I hear that place in the 80s, absolutely. But again, still more that commercial modern, which worked for the time. But I don't feel like The Weeknd is a timeless artist. I don't see us listening to, unless he's still relevant in his career in 20 years. I don't see him being I don't see it.
Well, the difference is that, like, he is taking stuff that people already love and is doing it.
Michael Jackson, Bruno, like, I can hear a few inspirations from, and he's good at what he does, but like you said, he is not the originator of that sound. So he's not going to be, the one that carries that torch, essentially. It's always going to go back to Michael Jackson in that sense, because even him and Prince, you can kind of hear that with that gothic, darker sound. And I think if we can lean more into that gothic sound of his, then it could be more universal. He reminds me of Vampire. Like, all his sound reminds me of, like, old-timey Vampire stuff, which is pretty freaking dope. But I felt like if he leaned into that more, as opposed to trying to recreate what we've already heard in Michael Jackson, he could be onto something, to be honest.
Something that you said earlier really stuck out to me about, I think you were quoting a TED Talk, is that, like, we're not the originators.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that like it doesn't matter. That I feel like, and I do this to myself a whole lot, and you know, the artistic process is sometimes you'll stumble upon something, a sound or a chord progression or something, and you're like, I feel like I've heard this before, right? You ever make
all
something
the time,
that you're
bro.
like
this has been done before,
I feel
right?
like I have to like look something up because this is too familiar to me. And the songs that I've written that have been the most familiar have been the ones that like come out of me the easiest.
Were you able to trace an origin back to the inspiration, or is it just like,
no, I don't know.
Okay. Like, I don't know, just did.
But that's the thing is that like whether or not this is or isn't an original idea or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just pursue it. Let it come out of you, whether it is yours or not.
Yes.
Let it come out of you.
Oh, for sure. But there is a difference between doing that and trying to emulate someone specifically. Like,
but yeah, the difference is that like whenever a song like hits you and you're just like, you know, just letting it come out of you, that's one thing. That's just allowing the inspiration to hit you. Versus it's like, oh, I hear this song, I want to make that song, but mine. Yeah, that's a very different thing because you're looking at a template and you're following it as opposed to like this melody came to me or these words came to me. And it is a weird, almost magical thing. And it's a funny thing because like I'm not like a magical thinker at all in the, you know, the contemporary Christian sense, I guess. And in that like, you know, spirit or whatever, like I do take more of like a scientific approach to like spirit and energy and all that sort of stuff. But the fact of the matter still holds that like when a song just comes to you, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter if it's like, oh, if it's God or if it's, you know, the universe or whatever, it's like,
I'm just capturing the frequencies I was meant to hear.
Don't worry about it. Just like let it come out of you, follow it, and just keep going.
Yes.
And I think that's something that whether or not it already exists or not, don't worry about it.
Yes.
Like you said, it's like we're not the originators of new ideas, but like because we know that something led
there's
to
inspiration
that.
to something. Something begot something else. Yes.
But it doesn't matter. And I think that kind of going back to like The Weeknd, for example, is that like there is very much there's this sound that I want to go for. I want to do that. And then like, you know, write songs in that space.
Yes.
And so I think, his most recent album is a banger because it has that sound.
Exactly.
But it's not original feeling yet.
It's the feeling that's not because we have felt these feelings before, I think is what you're getting at.
Honestly, I feel like The Hills is a more original song because it doesn't sound like anything else that I know of. That like it does sound like him, and that is something that every artist should do, is that like instead of trying to sound like something or trying to and you know, I do this all the time too.
Well, it's easier said than that because it's always like a crutch. Like, okay, let me go back to my safety a little bit. Like, let me go back to the shallow end because I'm out there deep. You know, just I don't know what's out here for sure. Like, absolutely.
But then there's the other way around, which is like another song that I wrote. I was like, this is coming out as a grunge song. All right, I guess it's a grunge song. Let me just allow it to be,
as opposed to trying to make it a genre like we talked about. Let it be fluid, and whatever's supposed to be made is going to come with it, and it's gonna that's dope.
Yeah, and so like the sound of it came out of like realizing that, oh, this is the genre that it will sit in, I guess. But it's not like, oh, I'm trying to write a Nirvana song.
Exactly. And it's so hard to be like, because I'm like, I want going back to that, you're right. Instead of trying to make a specific sound, because you already have your influences. You're already influenced by whoever you're influenced by. So that sound is already going to be naturally in you. And if it's already supposed to be there, if you just, like you said, freely do it, it's already going to be heard. You know, that element. Like, it's hard for artists to be like, I sound like me, but other people, I can hear your inspiration here, inspiration there. I've been, I'm part of, this composition group on Facebook where we give, critical feedback to, other artists, things that we like to get. And I've heard, country ska band, I can hear your, it's like, you're not necessarily trying to make this sound, but I can hear your ska. I can hear the rockabilly. I can hear what you listen to and where your sound came from. And it's pretty dope. Like who are the parents, the grandparents of this song, there's generations before.
Yeah. That's something I actually started doing recently, is that kind of over, December into January, New Year type feeling. It's like, hey, let me go back to like the stuff that I really liked when I was younger. And so I started listening to, I went back and listened to like Taking Back Sunday and Death Cab for Cutie and like the bands that I like really loved whenever I was like a teenager. And I was going like, whoa, that like I stole that, or like this is very much in my stuff now. Yes. And by going back and like listening to the stuff that I was inspired by a long time ago, I'm realizing like, oh, this is where I got that. Not necessarily that I consciously stole these things, but it's more of like, oh, that's where that came from.
What stuck with you the most and like just became part of your essence,
Yeah, exactly.
That's dope.
And so it was like, oh, like Death Cab for Cutie specifically, it's like, oh, that like specific storytelling thing is very like, I do that a lot. And that came from like almost directly from like Ben Gibbard and Death Cab. And it's like, oh, that's where that came from. Or this other sound, or like, guitar melody type things like came from Brand New or something. And so like all that sort of stuff is like going back and listening to,
I can hear where this element of my music, I can hear where those elements. That's really cool.
And so
it's like tracing your genealogy, essentially.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if you ever like,
I'm going to do that. That's a good exercise to do. Like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Cause it is surprising what sort of things stuck and you don't realize it.
Yeah.
And even like, there might be like little melodic things or just like a guitar thing that comes out and you're like, whoa.
Because like, it sounds like you've heard in your head for years, like that's where I heard it and you forget. Yeah. Dude, that's great. I'm gonna do that. That's a great exercise, man. Man, that's awesome.
But then even in things that like don't even sound like you. For example, one of my biggest inspirations growing up was like System of a Down, and none of my stuff,
bro. That's me.
None of my stuff sounds like System of a Down per se, but like, oh, this is the start of my radicalization.
Canberra, like, yeah, absolutely, like. I love deep screamo music like this. I'm like, I have those play. I mean, I listen to 6ix9ine, like that's more recently, but like I love listening to all different sounds of music. I want to listen to the quote unquote best artists of these new genres to hear, but you can the screamo element. Like people forget about Limp Bizkit. Like rock rap was not just originated now. They did it first. You think about Kid Rock back in the day, even kind of Marilyn Manson a little bit. He kind of had that element, but he also pulled more of that 80s vibe into it. So like, yeah, people need to learn about their history in a sense, even music history.
Yeah, because I mean, Linkin Park was my favorite band. Like,
Linkin Park, absolutely.
School, like,
that's the only. Chester Bennington was the only artist or celebrity I actually cried when he like. You felt the world. Like I felt like you felt that. There's some videos showing like Linkin Park was just playing their songs and just had a microphone of like for Chester, and the audience was just singing. Like audience, so they weren't even singing. The audience was just singing his part for him, and it was deep.
Yeah. Last thoughts, I guess. What's something that you've been listening to or watching or playing that you want other people to know about?
See, I'm really bad. Like I'm such a music snob. I feel that like I have particular playlists that I listen. I will go back and listen. Honestly, Kanye's Donda album, his recent album, has probably been the most recent album that has like just moved me, inspired me. So just his flow, because that shows you it doesn't matter if you're already the top of your craft. And this album, he sounds like he has worked on his singing, his flow. He is still improving. He did something completely different. Like it or not, that's subjective. I don't care. But like the fact that this artist has been around for 20 plus years and he is still evolving his sound and still growing, that in itself is impressive. Even the collabs, he had a hella collabs on that album, and like even those collabs stepped their game up. Like some of those artists, I'm like, I didn't even care for you that much, but like you brought your A game to this album. You need to bring that to every other song you do, like Lil Durk, Lil Baby, all these people. Like this is the best I've ever heard you deliver, because you had Kanye as an inspiration right here. So Donda album, just percussions on there. I've been getting deep into percussions and like just changing up different drum lines and stuff. Watching, I mean, Dexter, New Blood, that was disappointing again. It just finished. Bro, I'm so mad. I waited. I'm a huge Dexter fan, and that season didn't even happen. I'm okay to just like delete that. That upset. That had me for a few months. That just ended. Ozark is back on right now, so excited to get that going. I don't know. There's a lot of shows going on. The Good Place. I don't know if you ever watched that on Netflix. Yeah. I think it's a funny show, but it has a cute premise. Like I like the premise of. Like,
keeps going. How far in are you?
We're like almost done. Like we have like one or two episodes left. So yeah, most of the show.
Yeah, it's like oh, it's funny, and then it just like keeps going and keeps
like
going.
You're like, okay, what are they gonna do with the storyline? Like, and then like, so I appreciate that you don't expect anything. So that's very original in its thought. But like, even how humans are capable of change and like the deep undertones of the show. It's a pretty dope show. Like it's funny as hell too. So it keeps your attention. Yeah. But like even like Chitty and his philosophical questions and his dilemmas in life started making me think. Started asking questions about philosophy again, and all tied back into this for sure.
Yeah. The Good Place is basically like an associate's degree in philosophy.
There you go. Absolutely. Like just a little, cram pack, but it makes you start questioning stuff for sure.
Well, thank you so much for doing this with me.
I appreciate you, man. This has been fun for real. Like I appreciate you having me in here, dude.
Yeah. One more time. Let people know where they can find your things.
All right. Xantheartist.com, XAN the artist, all one word. All social media is quite simple. Xan the Artist. Appreciate you guys for listening to me today.
Yeah, of course. And now here's Euphoric by Xantheartist.
Chuck Taylor's on and I'm feeling myself. This is euphoric. So many shots we're taking, I can't even focus. Losing my concentration, I can't even pour it. This is your moment. I know you know it. I know you. This is euphoric. So many shots we're taking, I can't even focus. Losing my concentration, I can't even pour it. This is your moment. I know you know it. I know you. Picture me rolling. Feeling the poker ain't gon' slip, just keep it going. She on my drug cause I'm on top, she bust it open. I guess my money lays low and she gon' blow it. You know it. Zan, I'm the damn man. Her head fire like Bam Bam. Off the top like Van Dam. Then she lands in a handstand. Hating fans, what I can't stand. Big talk, you in a Trans Am. Not a fan, you a stand fam. String out the pressure like air. So many shots we're taking, I can't even focus. Losing my concentration, I can't even pour it. This is your moment. I know you know it. I know you. This is euphoric. So many shots we're taking, I can't even focus. Losing my concentration, I can't even pour it. This is your moment. I know you know it. I know you. I got the juice. Confidence through the roof. Got none to prove, nah. Big bands, LSU to my own horn. And I say what I do, staring at a unicorn. I make waves when I move, make a parade when I move. Put in 10,000 hours just to get this much power. I done paid all my dues. After hours, it's hours. Rolling sweet, smoking sour. To this day, I'm wildin'. From this day, we wildin'. So many shots we're taking, I can't even focus. Losing my concentration, I can't even pour it. This is your moment. I know you know it. I know you. This is euphoric. So many shots we taking, I can't even focus. Losing my concentration, I can't even pour it. This is your moment. I know you know it. I know you, this is euphoric.
You can find everything that I do on my website, SantiagoRamones.com. I make music and produce audio. The music you're hearing now is music I made. You can listen to official releases by Santiago Ramones on Spotify, Apple Music, and the other streaming places. Or you can buy it on Bandcamp because a single purchase is the monetary equivalent of streaming it all day, every day, for about a week. I'm working on an album, so if you'd like to hear that at some point, you can buy my music, or you can support me on Patreon. There's a Discord server in which we discuss deep topics from the podcast, but it's also a community of beautiful human beings. All the links to all my things are on my website, SantiagoRamones.com. If you like the podcast, leave comments on social media, leave reviews saying how much you like the podcast, and tell your friends about it. I want to help the world have deeper conversations. So thank you for listening to and supporting BitDepth.
Yeah, I always end the podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.